Have you ever heard of a politician so slippery, so cunning, that he managed to survive the French Revolution, serve Napoleon, and then help restore the monarchy, all while holding immense power? Today, we're diving into the incredible life of Joseph Fouché, the man they called the Minister of Police, but who was truly the master of secrets, survival, and betrayal. Born in 1759, Fouché wasn't destined for the revolutionary stage. He started as a quiet teacher in a religious order. But when the winds of revolution began to blow in 1789, Fouché sensed a change in the air. He shed his clerical robes and jumped headfirst into politics. He was a chameleon from the very beginning, adapting his beliefs to whatever group was currently in power. He started as a moderate, but as the revolution grew more radical, so did Fouché. He joined the Jacobin Club, the most extreme political faction, and found himself voting for the execution of King Louis XVI. This was a point of no return. His vote marked him as a regicide, a king-killer, and tied his fate to the success of the revolution. His revolutionary zeal reached a bloody peak in the city of Lyon. Sent to crush a royalist uprising, Fouché unleashed a reign of terror. He declared that the blood of criminals fertilizes the soil of liberty. Instead of the guillotine, which he found too slow, he ordered mass executions by cannon fire, earning him the chilling nickname the Butcher of Lyon. He also led a campaign to de-Christianize the region, ransacking churches and promoting an atheist cult of reason. It's a dark chapter, and it's hard to square this fanatical revolutionary with the man he would later become. But here's where Fouché's genius for survival kicks in. Back in Paris, the reign of terror was consuming its own. The man in charge, Maximilien Robespierre, was growing increasingly paranoid. Fouché, sensing he was next on the chopping block, didn't wait to be attacked. He worked in the shadows, whispering in the ears of other powerful men, stoking their fears of Robespierre. He masterminded the conspiracy that led to Robespierre's downfall and execution. In one swift, brilliant move, Fouché had not only saved his own skin, but had also ended the bloodiest phase of the revolution. After the terror, Fouché laid low for a while, but a man with his skills couldn't stay out of the game for long. By 1799, he was appointed Minister of Police, and this is where he truly built his empire. Fouché wasn't just a chief of police, he was a spy master. He created a vast network of informants that reached into every corner of French society. From the salons of the elite to the grimiest taverns, nothing happened in Paris without Fouché knowing about it. His agents were everywhere, listening, watching, and reporting back. He kept detailed files on everyone, including his own bosses. Information was his currency, and he was the richest man in France. When a young, ambitious general named Napoleon Bonaparte seized power, he knew he needed Fouché. Napoleon didn't trust him, not for a second. He once said, "I only know two things about Fouché. He has a great contempt for all mankind, and an even greater contempt for me." But Napoleon also knew that Fouché's police network was indispensable for maintaining control. So began one of the most fascinating and fraught relationships in history. Fouché served as Napoleon's Minister of Police, rooting out plots against the regime and keeping the population in line. He was ruthlessly efficient. When a bomb plot nearly killed Napoleon, Fouché, despite his initial suspicions falling elsewhere, quickly rounded up and executed the real culprits, a group of royalists. He was the guardian of the Napoleonic order. But Fouché was always playing his own game. While serving Napoleon, he was secretly keeping lines of communication open with Napoleon's enemies, the royalists, the British, everyone. He was hedging his bets. He knew the emperor's ambition was boundless and that one day the empire might crumble. And when it did, Joseph Fouché planned to be standing on top of the rubble. He even betrayed Napoleon directly. In 1809, while Napoleon was away fighting in Austria, the British invaded. Fouché, left in charge of the home front, took matters into his own hands. He mobilized the National Guard, a move Napoleon had forbidden, and organized the defense of France himself. He was hailed as a hero, but Napoleon was furious. It was a clear sign that Fouché was a power unto himself. Napoleon dismissed him, but he couldn't get rid of him. He was too useful, too dangerous to be a permanent enemy. So, Napoleon brought him back, then dismissed him again. Their dance continued for years. Fouché would be sent into a sort of political exile, only to be recalled when a new crisis emerged. The end for Napoleon came in 1814, and then finally in 1815 after the Battle of Waterloo. And who was there, waiting in the wings to manage the transition of power? You guessed it, Joseph Fouché. After Napoleon's final abdication, Fouché became the head of the provisional government. He was, for a brief moment, the most powerful man in France. And what did he do with that power? In his final, most audacious act of betrayal, he handed France back to the monarchy. He negotiated the return of King Louis XIII, the brother of the king he had voted to execute 2 decades earlier. For his services, the new king made Fouché his minister of police. Think about that. The man who voted to kill the king's brother was now serving in the king's government. It was the ultimate testament to his political maneuvering. The ultimate survivor had landed on his feet once again, but this time his luck had run out. The other royalists could never forgive him for his revolutionary past, for the blood on his hands from Lyon, for his vote to execute their king. They saw him as a stain on the new monarchy. Under immense pressure, the king was forced to dismiss him. Fouché was sent into permanent exile, living out the rest of his days in Austria, far from the center of power he had occupied for so long. He died in 1820, a wealthy but lonely man. So, what is the legacy of Joseph Fouché? Was he a traitor? Absolutely. He betrayed every regime he ever served. Was he a cynical opportunist? Without a doubt. He changed his principles as easily as he changed his coat. But he was also a brilliant administrator and a political survivor unlike any other in history. He navigated the treacherous waters of the French Revolution, the Napoleonic Empire, and the Bourbon Restoration, always managing to stay afloat, always one step ahead of the executioner's blade or the political firing squad. His life is a chilling lesson in the nature of power. He understood that loyalty was fleeting, that ideologies were tools, and that the only thing that truly mattered in the chaotic world of politics was survival. He was the ultimate puppet master, the man behind the curtain, shaping history from the shadows. While names like Robespierre and Napoleon thunder through the history books, the quiet whisper-like influence of Fouché is just as important, and perhaps even more intriguing. Thanks for watching. If you found this dive into the dark arts of politics interesting, be sure to like this video and subscribe for more stories about the most fascinating figures in history. See you next time.